always wondered to myself, is there something that helps the entrepreneurs that succeed that they have, which other entrepreneurs don't? Is it something they know? Is it how they run their businesses? Is it the people they hire? Is it where they went to school? Is it their socialization, their background, their education, their mental spaces? What is it that makes the entrepreneur succeed? Welcome to my masterclasses, where I share with you everything you need to know about how to become a high-growth, high-scale entrepreneur. I'm joined by guests. We break down the myths, the ideas, the myths, the legends, everything you need to know to become a high-growth entrepreneur. Warning, this is the High Performance Zone. Yes, ma'am.
So I had a question, right?
Yes.
I've answered it, but mine was, so if you get an investor,
Yes.
right, and then they want to invest 75% of your business.
Yeah.
Then do you say yes? And with that saying yes, is it, so can you alter your vision of the entire company? And are your values compromised? Can your values be compromised in the sense where he owns 75%?
Look, you're not allowed to ask difficult questions. It's supposed to be easy. No, so do you know what a clawback is? No? Clawback, it's a very nicely kept secret used in typically private equity space that many entrepreneurs don't know about. But what you could do is just introduce a clawback. To everybody that didn't hear the young lady's question was, somebody wants to take 75% of my business. Do I give it to them? And two, how do I make sure that they don't change the vision of my business? It's a fair concern. If somebody wanted to take 75% of my business today, I would sell it easily, like OLX. I would sell it without thinking, right? Here's what I would do. I would go, let's imagine, Mr. Investor, you are going to give me 100 rand, 100 rand, okay? And for this 100 rand, you want 75% of my business. Now, I'm confusing myself with my own maths. You're going to give me 75 rand for 75% of my business, which means the value of my business is 100 rand. Would you agree? Right, okay. I'm saying, Mr. Investor, that's not a problem. How about this? I'm going to give you 75% of my business at 75 rand. Okay? If I grow, and by the way, and my business today does sales of 50 rand, which means my sales to valuation is at 2-to-1. So what would happen if I grew my sales using your 75 rand to 200 rand? Yeah? That means the value of the business would also quadruple. So the value of the business would go from, if the value of business would go from $100 to 400 rand, right? 75% of 400 rand is a lot more than 75% of 100 rand. Do we agree? Yeah. So I go, Mr. Investor, here's what I'm going to do for you. I'm going to take your money, your 75 rand, and I'm going to invest it in my business. I'm going to actually put it in the business. And every single year, I'm going to commit to paying you back a percentage of the money you paid me. So in 5 years' time, Mr. Investor, I'm going to have let's do it. No, do it the other way. I want to keep the math simple. In 3 years' time, I'm going to commit to paying you back your full 75 rand, which means every year I need to pay you how much? 25 bucks. Make sense? So but, when I pay you back your 75 rand, I want you to give me back in the 75%, 50% of the shares. Yeah? What that means is at the end of 3 years, you will own 25% of your business. For the risk you took, I would have paid you back your money, and for the premium of that risk, you are still a shareholder. Does that sound good? He goes, yeah, this whole thing is something called a clawback. Very common. A lot of it used in private equity or even leveraged buyout transactions, MBOs typically, where all you're doing is you're saying, and they do it now to executives in big businesses. All they do is they say, there's a board of you guys, the CEO, so-and-so, so-and-so, meet these performance targets, and if you meet these performance targets, we'll issue you back more shares, because in effect, the risk we've taken is smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. See, I think a lot of us get trapped when you hear somebody says, I'm taking 80%. Guys who come and see me will tell you, I don't take a meeting for anything less than 41% of your holding. Our fund can't invest in anything less than 26% of the holding, because the Companies Act gives us minority protection at 26%. So don't email me and go, I'm offering 5%. I wouldn't wake up in the morning for 5% of your business that sells hair. Just like. But at 40%, I might pay some attention. I'll listen to you. I might not buy, but I'll certainly hear out what you've got to say. The other thing we've learned is it's very risky for the entrepreneur for us to hold very small shares. One, because we don't add value, because you're just not material. And two, because what happens is you're one entrepreneur, you end up with 15 investors, each of them holding 5%. So anytime you need a decision to be made, you must talk to 15 people. Like a perfect business is 2-3 shareholders, each of them holding 25%. You hold your 25%, you caucus with 3 people, you make a decision, you move on. Yeah? Cool, man. Guys, I just want to acknowledge Spusi, so he's here. Sips, lift your hand, let everybody see you. Let's give him a round of applause, by the way. Let me just make the point that all of this wouldn't be possible without that guy. So Spusi first approached me probably about a year ago, and the reason you guys saw me on the Capitec ads was because of that guy. And then off the back of it, I was putting together these masterclasses, and I was like, dude, we've got to do something so we can scale it. And that's how the partnership came to be. And I'm making a very important point, which is to say the comment earlier about entrepreneurship and us fighting for ourselves is that even on the other side of the fence, we need allies like that guy who get it, who's got a vision for it, right? Thanks, my guy. So when you get numbers from this, you better know who, I teed you off, dude. I laid you up. All right, we've got 30 minutes. Let's take a couple more questions. Who's got the? Oh, you, sir. Where's that mic that you had? Ma'am, before you ask, can I take you after the lunch? I want to take some of the people at the back. Is that okay? What's your name? Sigalelo, we start with you, okay. Can you do me the favor? Pass the mic right to the back. I want to see if we can get another lady. I'll recognize you later. Let's see if we can get a lady from the back, guys. A lady. Sir, you were saying. No. Here, go for it. Yeah.
Good afternoon to everyone. Mr. Timberboy, I'd love to ask you, do you have an Instagram account? If yes, given the chance, I'd like to show you some amazing work that I'm doing for young creatives in Cape Town.
Okay. I do have an Instagram account. Come show me the amazing work after this. Is that cool? Let's take a few more. You, sir, I see you with the hat. But do we have a question at the back? I said a lady. You don't quite make it, but that's okay. Go for it. No. Go for it. It's Father's Day at the back. Did you hear that?
So, thanks, Priscilla. My name is Sir Nzima, and I run a health logistics business.
Yeah.
So, very good point you're making about finance. And my question is really sort of outside of finance and investments. You start up a business, you get customers, 3 or 5 customers, they start paying you. Then you get to that 2-3 years. You're making money, you're not making a profit, you're just making money to pay people.
Yeah.
The question is then, clearly you have access. Let's say you get this investor, you've got access to that 5 million. My question is, why do businesses fail even if they have money? Because when I read a couple of books, and I also read your book, it talks about there's something about leadership in the business. We always look at, I want money, as you said, we want money. But when you get that 5 or 10 million, leadership, access to market, what makes businesses really why do they never really hit the roof, even despite the fact that they have the 10 million backup?
Yeah.
would you say, what are the things outside of money
Yeah.
that really make businesses well? Because business hit the 3 years.
Yeah.
Come 5 years, that business, it's still making that turnover of 2 million. And then after 5 years, it becomes difficult to penetrate into the market.
Yeah.
Because there's other bigger players in the market who've been there for, as you say,
Such
100
a-
years. So, and then it just goes down and down, and eventually it fails.
Yeah.
So what is it really? Is it leadership? Is it access to market? Or is it, and one of the things that I also like to ask is around access to market. Do you think at that time of that 3 years, when is it wise to introduce outside people, CFOs, CEOs? I know CFOs are one of the most important. They're very expensive, but ridiculously. I know you've done this, but when is it the right time? Do you think in that 3 years, or when you get the money, is it the right time to introduce those type of professionals to really take your business outside of 5 years, into the 10 year, into a 50 million rand business? So I don't know if the question is clear.
It's not only very clear, but it's an incredibly important question, right? And I'm sure there's some of you who've suffered that fate before. Usually, one of the type of people we draw into these masterclasses are entrepreneurs who, to answer your question, have plateaued. So you go 0 to 5 million, quick, fast, and in a hurry, and then you're stuck, right? And you just you can't break, and you try so many different things, but you can't break this 5 million thing, right? So let me take a couple of stabs at this, and if any of you want to offer your own experiences, please do. But the first thing is, not all businesses are scalable. So my professional speaking business, is Saz listening? I don't know. Like in my professional speaking business, I make, say, 20 to 25 million a year. Hold on. But it's been like that for 5 years, right? When I built my professional speaking business, I built it for scale. Speakers have a laptop, a cell phone, and they work from home. I didn't do that. I got an office. I had a team. There's somebody who does my marketing, somebody who does my social media, somebody who does my sales. Clients call me to book me, you're not talking to me. When you're booking the logistics, my flights, you're not talking to me either. I'm the bullet in the gun. I'm just going to hit the target really, really well. I will not miss. But what I've done... What's wrong, my guy? Bring it in. It's all good. We good. But the point is, what I've done, and I want to answer your question by saying, is I've calibrated my business, the gun, so that every time it points and fires, I don't miss. Because the client wants the impact. They want me to hit the heart and the target drops. That's my job. So I don't really want to worry about the stuff behind it, right? But up front, it was hard because I had to set up my business for scale. So I had to get research people in to do research. Then I did the sales, and I had to get salespeople in to do the sales. I was doing the social media and marketing, then I had to get social media. You understand? So you're building this thing for scale. Most of the speakers, in fact, I'm the only one in the country who's done this. No other speaker has done it. They all go, Yazin, I want to drive a nice car, live in a nice house, I want to speak at 100 conferences a year, and that's it. I don't speak at 100 conferences a year. I turn down work. But I also charge 4 times. I'm the most expensive speaker in the continent. I charge 4 times what the guy who's number 2 to me charges. Because when I hit, your ass better believe I ain't gonna miss. Like when I fire, I'm gonna hit the target, right? But the point is I've calibrated the business. In the early days, I really thought about myself as an entrepreneur who happened to work as a professional speaker. I didn't think of myself. There's a big difference. You see it in the disposition of somebody like, I'm going to give you guys a great example. Somebody like Jay-Z, who's a rapper. You don't think he became a billionaire by selling CDs, right? So one of the ways he did it is he clearly invested in businesses, but Jay-Z has a team. Like, go to his office on Upper East Side in New York. They've got a whole floor. What are those people doing? They're working, right? And that's how you've got to think. But to do it, to set it up is a different thing. So your question was, it grows, hits a thing, and then it plateaus. One of the things to recognize about yourself is you have to know where you're strong and where you're weak. I'm going to tell you something about me. I am an amazing leader. I can get you guys to go, guys, let's start a union. And you go, yes, I'm on! You know, like, but don't ask me, so what's the membership form? Chief, no, but membership. Now we must do forms now. So I'm an amazing leader. I don't enjoy management. Like, I don't want to be there telling people to rock up at 8 o'clock. I don't want to be signing leave forms. The thing about entrepreneurs is usually you're great at leading. When you need the management competence, you can't bring it in because you want to hang on to too much. You want to make all the decisions. Does it make sense? Guys, I didn't see this venue until we got here. My team came and saw the venue. Makes sense. So you gotta be willing to give and let people make decisions. The difficulty often is finding people your business can afford. Yeah. I'm going to say this to you. There's a couple of ways to do it. There's really a couple of ways to do it. Unless you can pay them for their skill, then you want them to pay themselves. So unless you can pay them for their skill, you want them to pay themselves. So today, if I was getting into a tech business, I'm not going to hire an engineer and pay him 2 million rand a year. Not even 1 million rand a year. I can't afford it. I got bills. But I might pay him 500,000 rand a year. I might pay him 300,000 rand a year, and then I might give him 20% of the business. That's how he pays himself. I might make him a co-founder. That's how he pays himself. Right? So what you've got to do is you've got to be able to recognize when your business gets to that point where you are not enough anymore. And you've got to be willing to bring people into the room who can make those decisions, who have that area of competence, and you've got to be willing to trust them with that and go, that's you, that's your area. You're going to get it wrong. I've gotten it wrong. Okay, so about 18 months ago, I almost lost my business. This is a true story. I'm not lying. I was almost completely out. Almost lost my business. And I had a staff member that I had to have arrested because of the things they were doing in the business. I had a co-founder that I fired and then I bought out because of the stuff he was doing in the business. I had an entire team of people, and of the entire team of people who were in my business then, do you know how many is left today? 1. I got rid of everybody because the culture was wrong. So the point I'm making is, even me doing a masterclass, I still get it wrong. But if I've got to trust the system in the iteration, I've got to, okay, so I tried that doesn't work. The philosophy wasn't wrong. I got the people wrong. Okay, so let me change people, but the philosophy is the same. Remember your point about human capital, leadership, yada, yada. There are 3 types of capital in a business. So the first is you need human capital, you need financial capital, and then you need market capital. Right? So you need the human capital. You need the people to do the work, to deliver the stuff. Like, you just need it. And good people are going to cost you. Right? You also need the financial capital. Your point about, so I raise 5 million, but then the business dies. It's because of these 3 legs, you've ticked 1. And then you need the market capital. So I've got the people, I've got the financial capital. Do I have access to the markets? Do I have the ecosystem? Do I have a value chain I understand? Do I have customers who like us, a brand that resonates? All of that stuff. And this thing, guys, is as dynamic as the energy circulation board at Eskom. It's up and down all the time. Sometimes you're going to go hit straight load shedding on human capital, where you just go, I've either got nobody or I've got the wrong people. You know the hardest thing? I'm going to tell you the hardest thing. You ever had to fire someone who's loyal? Because they're loyal but incompetent? Call me when that moment hits. That's hard. You know, in my book, The Magna Carta, I spoke about it, right? What we call the closets of culture. You know, culture, guys, is not what you say. Culture is what you do and what you reward. You know, if you reward something and people are continuously doing it, that's your culture. You could say, let's not be corrupt. But if people are bringing you tenders that they're paying brown paper bags for and you're giving them commission, you're corrupt. Even though on your mission statement it says we are not corrupt. Right? So the thing about when you set it up is, as you recognize where your levers of strength are, you've also got to know where you're weak. And you've got to know where to push the button at just the right time. Just the right time. And press the button at just the right time. That's why there are, you know, there's CEOs today who are in their 50s and 60s who are still trying to figure it out. Because, guys, nobody has all the answers. We're all just learning, like we're all just trying to figure it out. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. Sometimes you score, sometimes you miss. If you're Bafana, you're missing a lot. you know. But you always stay in the field of play. Because you can't score sitting on the grandstands, you know. So for you, you've got to figure out where your business is. Then you've got to have a real conversation with yourself, which is, do I want to scale this thing? Because sometimes I don't. Sometimes I actually do want to keep it a small little niche business. Last point, and then I want to close on this. So I know this guy who runs a restaurant out in Parkhurst in Joburg. Man, this guy, he must go to he's like, food for him is art. Everybody says that, but this guy lives that. No, he lives it. Like, you know, you can just, the presentation, he gets it. His restaurant is like, you drive past it. It's very unassuming. It's not fancy. It doesn't have great decor. It doesn't have all this hip new stuff. It's just a very simple, but when you get in, my man, the service is average. The food, I've closed deals over that food. Real deal, you know, the real deal. Like when I want to close a deal, that's the place I go, because I know it's quiet, there's not a lot of people there, very unassuming, people don't know it, but damn, the food is good, right? But for him, so I asked him the question, I was like, why don't you scale? He says, because then I lose the art. You know, you don't take your lady out for a burger at McDonald's on the anniversary, because there's no art in the McDonald's burger. That's not what McDonald's is for. McDonald's is for scale. Does that make sense? And people go, well, there's companies that are scaled. Look at Starbucks. They scaled in art. I don't know. Go study Luckin Coffee in China. Check out what Luckin Coffee in China is doing to Starbucks now. They got that mix just right. Art, scale. Very hard to do. Wow, right? So what an amazing time we've had in Cape Town. Like, I honestly didn't expect the turnout we had today. So we just had our Cape Town Masterclass. We thought we'd get a couple of people in the room. We ended up with a couple of hundred people in the room. I think easily over 500 people, entrepreneurs in that room. It was absolutely amazing. First, to the team at Workshop 17, thank you so much for accommodating us and allowing us to create a platform for sharing, collaboration, and trust, right? That's really important to us. And to all the entrepreneurs that came out, what an amazing time. The learning, the opportunity to share, the experiences, the cross-collaboration of opportunities about what we can learn from each other was absolutely amazing. So cool that we continue to be on this tour to do these masterclasses. And to each and every single entrepreneur that comes to these masterclasses, that trusts us with their story, their opportunity, their struggles, we really appreciate it. We'll hope that you guys are learning about your business and about yourself as much as we're learning too. Cheers.